Alright guys, half of the round of 16 matchups are now known. That's the first thing I have to say. The second thing is that we were treated to some fantastic matches, my word. And the third being that I will have a big Victor Gyökeres video for you soon, shooting for tomorrow, Thursday. So do not miss that one as we go through why there is hesitation to sign him, the drama between himself at the club, and everything else. It's a really strange situation because he's so good, and yet there are so many clubs that are hesitant about his signature and fan bases that are hesitant about him as well. Okay guys, just quickly, as I had this realization when I was going through my publication calendar after, given this video comes out on Wednesday, then we have the Gyökeres video tomorrow. I won't be able to recap groups E through H for Friday, but I will be releasing my round of 16 preview and predictions on Friday, so all is not lost. You will still know who made it through via the preview. PSG started a bit slow once again, as we saw Seattle win 2 corners in the first 3 minutes of this game, but as expected, as things progressed, PSG started to gain more and more control, just like most matches, right? But just as we saw against Atletico, Seattle's defense was quite resolute. They were doing very well, especially Nuhu up against Desiree Doué. By the way, Mayulu started in a central position for PSG. The rest, I mean, you can guess, right? Then in the 19th minute, Gigi Donnarumma was caught under pressure after a back pass saw Ferreira get all over him. He lost the ball to a Sounders attacker, but that attacker didn't have any cool about him. Blasted it way over the goal, chance missed. Seattle would look like they would cause an issue on the counter, but they often would lack the numbers going forward or a quality through ball, and eventually we saw PSG get the breakthrough. From their 4th corner, it came to Vitinha at the edge of the box, and his strike was going wide, but it hit Kvaratskhelia in the back. He knew nothing about it, but it deflected straight in. A little bit of bad luck for Sounders, but it was coming, right? PSG were firmly in control at this point and eased their way into the halftime, knowing that if this result stayed, they would be through. In the second half, they really were controlling this match and dominating the ball like we hadn't seen against the Sounders. But say what you will about the Sounders' record in this tournament, but they've consistently put up a great fight. Here, PSG were dominating the ball, and through Kvara setting up Doué, they should have gone 2-0 up, but Doué decided against hitting it first time, and the defender set up and blocked his strike. But there was only so much Seattle could do from a Seattle counter. PSG countered them, countering the counter, and the substitute Bradley Barcola squared to Hakimi for yet another goal this season for Hakimi, his 10th of the season, 10 goals, 14 assists. Not bad for a right back. Brian Schmetzer, I found that he got his substitutions right, as both Menungu and Morris looked dangerous when they came on. Unfortunate we couldn't see them get a full game. For Morris, I understand why, as he was out with a hamstring injury for a while, but Menungu, as someone who doesn't watch Seattle enough, I can't say why he wasn't starting games, but he looked lively and like a headache for defenders on the dribble against Atletico and against PSG. Like I said, I don't watch them enough, so maybe he's perfect as an impact sub off of the bench against tired legs, or maybe he's just returning from a lengthy injury as well. But he looked good in the 2 flashes I saw of him. So this one ended 2-0 PSG, the expected result really, despite the stumble against Botafogo, right? As they did against PSG, Botafogo started this match very well and showed how well they can circulate the ball. They are the only team that won their first 2 games in this group, but they weren't guaranteed to make their way through considering both PSG and Atleti were on 3 points as well. But Botafogo had a couple of warning signs early, forcing saves out of Jan Oblak, cutting through Atleti's defense fairly easily at times when they went forward. Again, Igor Jesus, a big problem in the attack. But Atleti carried some threat of their own, namely through Julian Alvarez, but sometimes it felt like he was more interested in winning a penalty than finishing. A couple of chances where he did that, well, one, he did it because the chance had gone, if I'm being fair to his fishing there. In the end, he nearly won one that went to VAR, but Sorloth fouled the Botafogo defender in the preceding moment, so it was not given. That cancelled out the penalty incident. And so at halftime, the way things stood at 0-0, this result was enough for Botafogo to go through, and Atleti would be eliminated. And while Atleti would have much more of the play in the second half, I mean, we barely saw Botafogo in the first 20 minutes of the second half, it would be Igor Jesus that would come closest to breaking the deadlock as his first time finish forced a great save out of Oblak. Atletico had a few decent opportunities throughout the second half, including from substitute Antoine Griezmann as a back heel flick just went wide of the post, but he would find the back of the net from a ball through the box. Griezmann poaching at the back post. So, with PSG winning 2-0 and Atleti winning, meaning they were on equal points with Botafogo, if they could find a couple more goals, they would advance ahead of Botafogo. But they could not find a way to score, and so Atletico Madrid were eliminated. The first big European team to be eliminated. They won't be too disappointed, let's be real. Vacation time for them. MetLife was entirely red, man. This was unbelievable. The people showed up to get Al Ahly over the line. Their support has just been fantastic in this tournament. And that support was rewarded early on as a miscue from Eustáquio led to an Al Ahly attack. Abu Ali kept himself onside and then rolled the ball into the far corner for 1-0. It was nice to see him really show up in this tournament finally. Abu Ali looked dangerous in the first game against Miami, faded against Palmeiras, and started well against FC Porto. Really well, and continued well. Rodrigo Mora also showed flashes in this tournament, a very talented attacker, obviously, that seemingly has a huge future. He's just 18. What a season he had. And he brought Porto level with a nice individual effort. Maybe a bit fortunate to come out with the ball after it was kicked into him between the two defenders, but there was no luck in how he just glided past El Shaarawy and scored for 1-1. Calm, composed. Zizou started to come alive down Al Ahly's left side as he curled one just wide, then later forced a great save out of Claudio Ramos, who put in yet another great performance for Porto for the most part. Al Ahly in general were really strong to close out this first half. After Fabio Vieira came close to getting on the end of a cross, he gave up a clumsy penalty at the other end. A bit unfortunate as he just clipped the foot of Zizou, but the referee called it immediately and his decision stood, and Abu Ali slammed it low into the corner past Claudio Ramos, 2-1. Porto, they looked a bit feeble in defense at times, especially in the wide areas where Zizou was having a blast out there. Also, Anselmi's plan of playing a front two of Mora and Namaso just didn't work out. Mora was able to grab a goal, but Namaso was a non-factor, so it made sense to bring Samu on at the half. Not sure if he was carrying an injury or something, but he should have been out there from the start in my opinion. Had to wait extra long though. Al Ahly took forever to get back onto the pitch. Porto players were standing around asking the referee like what's going on here. It took a long time. But Porto didn't have to wait long to go level as William Gomes got the ball. The defenders were dragged away by the overlapping runs, leaving him with acres of room to curl one into the far corner, and he did so. That tie only lasted a second though. What a match this was. Of course, it was Wassem Abu Ali, a perfect header into the top corner from a whipped-in ball from Mohamed Hani. Whiplash once again, man. Corner kick for Porto. Samu immediately makes a mark with a powerful header. 3-3. What a game. Yes, of course, Al Ahly found another goal, and this goal resembled William Gomes' goal. Almost the same. Stepping inside from the left and curling it in. Ramdani with that one. Then, Al Ahly had a few opportunities to double their lead. Just wasteful over and over again. Pepe punished Al Ahly for not taking any of those fantastic chances by smashing one in from the edge of the box for 4-4. Really good strike from Pepe. But if you're Al Ahly, you are kicking yourself for being so wasteful in the attack. I mean, not that this result meant anything. I hate to say it. 8 goals that didn't mean anything in the end. Unfortunate. But it certainly was a great spectacle for all of us, wasn't it? The atmosphere in this game, I mean, of course, it was thanks to Palmeiras supporters. There were, of course, some pink shirts out there, but the atmosphere was all coming from the Verdão. And while they came close with a header early, Inter Miami showed flashes of danger from their balls played in from deep, in behind the defense. But the opener was a bit of a strange one. Palmeiras pushed so far forward, all of their defenders essentially were in the Inter Miami midfield, and a long ball forward to Luis Suarez saw the OG chested into the path of Allende to run through clean on goal. Poor Murillo pulling up with a hamstring strain, and Allende converted for 1-0. Allende later would waste an opportunity when once again Palmeiras were pushing forward, which gave Miami lots of room to attack, but he blew it. It looked like he couldn't decide whether he wanted to take on the man or play in a teammate wide. And with a team like Palmeiras, you just know it's only a matter of time before they take one of their chances. You got to make the most of those. But I got to say, the Palmeiras defense was not standing very tall in this game. That high line was not looking good. First half played out with Palmeiras looking the more threatening team, dominating the ball more, but Inter Miami, when they did go forward, carried a bit more menace. Thanks a lot to how Palmeiras had a high line, yes, but also they were moving the ball well, and of course, when Messi and Suarez are out there, they can conjure up something out of nothing with their passing and Suarez's movement as well, dragging defenders all over the place. Another thing that impressed me with Miami how they had defended for most of this match. The way they defended in MLS in the weeks leading up to this tournament, porous, not looking good at all. But in this tournament, you gotta hand it to them. Against some decent opposition, they defended well and as a team. And by that, I mean, pretty much everyone would get back to help. You'd see Messi getting back sometimes, Suarez. And speaking of Messi and Suarez, Messi had a moment around the 63rd minute where he just started slowing things down, moving the ball around, inviting pressure, then playing a pass. And before you knew it, Suarez was sneaking past Fuchs, then smashed a left-footed strike that went into the top corner for 2-0. At this point, Porto was at 3-3, and if they scored one more goal, Palmeiras would be eliminated. And what's unbelievable from Miami is that Palmeiras had 9 clean sheets from the previous 12 matches, so Porto was close to getting them out. Palmeiras would pull one back to make things very interesting to close out the game. 2 substitutes in Alan and Paulinho linking up. Great little disguise through ball from Alan, and Paulinho just passed it into the corner to make it 2-1. Great composure. I was losing it, man. Watching both of these matches at the same time, I could hardly write out my notes fast enough for every event. Once they got that first one, you felt like there was only so long that Miami could hang on, right? Miami was generating opportunities for themselves. That's the thing. They did enough to get a third goal, but whether it was Allende or Fafa Pico or whomever, they couldn't get it done. And so, when Mauricio from Palmeiras made it 2-2, suddenly Miami were a little bit fearful. But both teams knew that if they drew, then they both would be safe. That's not to say that Palmeiras didn't try to win it, because they got a good save out of Ustari with the last kick of the match, but 2-2 it ended. So for all of the drama of the other game, the table was essentially the same at the end of all this. So we have an all-Brazilian round of 16 match as Botafogo take on Palmeiras. Would have preferred it. Inter Miami would have won this one so that we could keep the Brazilian clubs apart. But then we have Luis Enrique meeting up with his old boys, Messi and Suarez, in the round of 16 as well. Oh my God, man. 5 minutes in, and I thought that Auckland was going to score a goal. I was rooting for them so hard. And not just because it would help Benfica through. Boca would still probably win anyway, right? I would just love to see the amateur side score a goal. Also, Auckland keeper Guerrero having to stand in front of the Boca supporters in that first half looked a little bit rattled at first. That's an entirely new thing to have to deal with. But while Boca labored at times, they got their opener in the 27th minute, by the way. Forgot to mention, nice to see Cavani out there. His first appearance in this tournament, but while he came close with an acrobatic effort, and Palacios hit a stunning strike that cracked off of the crossbar, Auckland made it to halftime just 1 down once again, as they did against Benfica. And finally, it happened. From a corner kick, Auckland's Christian Gray, a guy who was lined up to be a school teacher, hit a perfect header at goal that rocketed past Marchesín for 1-1. Auckland City's first goal at this tournament. You love to see it. What a tournament, man. Unfortunately, another annoying thing about this tournament has been the weather delays, of which there was one in this match as well. And look, I have tight schedules here. So the score you are seeing on screen, it's correct, unless I made a stupid mistake, a mistake at 5 a.m. again. But as I am filming now, I have no idea what the final score is. But as you'll see from the next match, I went ahead and filmed because it doesn't mean anything, unfortunately. But hey, shout out to Boca and Auckland. Boca for providing some fantastic matches against Benfica and Bayern, both epic matches. And Auckland for coming in as the only amateur side and scoring a goal against a giant like Boca. May that money from the tournament get Auckland the most modern and fantastic all-weather pitch to help grow the game in New Zealand, as they said it would. Alright, so Bayern rotated their lineup a lot. Musiala, Goretzka, Kane, Olise, Kimmich, Tra, all those fellas on the bench at the start. 7 changes total. And Benfica, they played a lineup that I liked, and with Carreras suspended, Dal was on the left. I like Dal so far, he's a good boy. And nice to see Prestiani out there again. Barreiro also, to start. That midfield of Renato, Barreiro, and Prestiani. Another good boy, my favorite boy, Angel Di Maria, who really stepped up in this match. His performance so far in this tournament had been a bit all over the place, a bit wishy-washy, but he was fantastic against Bayern, causing so many issues down that right side in the first half. Bayern were pretty slow and lateral side to side, passing backwards in the first half, and Benfica were quick to attack, which is how we like to play against teams like this, right? On top of this, all but 1 or 2 defenders would stay back, making a quick outball for Benfica super dangerous, because now you're 1 defender racing against Pavlidis. But before all that, Arsenal's ball through the box was turned in by Andreas Sheldrup. Just start the kid every time, Let him get a good run. And the other kid who deserves a good run, Prestiani, was the first guy that we saw fall victim to the heat. It was about 36 degrees, feels like 41 with humidity. He ended up returning to the pitch, but this is a problem, man. Granted, it seems like the entire East Coast was going through this heat wave. It's not always like this in the summer. But even here in Montreal, it felt like 42 degrees Celsius with humidity. That's 105 Fahrenheit for the Americans out there. Had to look that up. Anyway, fears for the heat next year at the World Cup aside, interesting to see how Bayern supporters in the crowd were all over Leroy Sané with every foot he put wrong. But he didn't go off at the half. Gnabry did for Michael Olise. Kane on, as did Kimmich. He came on as well. And honestly, Sané justified the boos in the second half when he was in clear on Trubin in the 50th minute. The man messed up this opportunity, shooting absolute blanks in this game. He had plenty of other opportunities, one almost exactly like that previous one in the 87th minute, and another save from Trubin. He had a couple that he managed to just blast into the crowd way over the bar. Really poor stuff. They'll be sending him to Turkey with pleasure. Now, with all the changes, Bayern were dominant in the second half. They moved the ball faster, having way more of it, and you had Kimmich smash one low past Trubin, but it was called off for Harry Kane being in an offside position and blocking Trubin's vision. Trubin was once again one of Benfica's best players. He made a nice save from right in front of him around the 73rd minute or so. Another one later on Sané, as mentioned. Trubin just playing some fantastic stuff out there. He really was the MVP of Benfica's first ever victory over Bayern Munich, though Otamendi and Antonio Silva were incredible as well. So, Benfica finished top of the group, Bayern drop into second, and those two will face the teams from our next group. I gotta say, I didn't pay much attention to this one at all, as we already knew that LAFC was eliminated, and we already knew that no matter what happened in the other match and this one, Flamengo was finishing in first. So, Cole Palmer started on the bench, as did Pedro Neto, Moises Caicedo, Jackson of course suspended. So, Delap started out front. Also, Jorgensen in goal. Wholesale changes here, and the winner of this match would move on to play Benfica. Esperance started okay. They would wait to hit Chelsea on the break, and other than that would defend deep and keep Chelsea out of their own box, or try to. For Chelsea though, their best chance in the first half at first was a Dewsbury Hall header that was cleared off at the line, so close to 1-0 and putting the pressure on Esperance to go forward and find a goal. It became oh so clear that Esperance was down to sit tight and wait for their chance to get forward and snatch one late in the game, and they did well to ice Chelsea out completely in the first half until a great free kick from Enzo Fernandez that he dinked in behind the defenders, and Tosin headed it calmly into the corner for 1-0. Then Enzo again in stoppage time, a chip ball to Delap. He controlled, stepped inside two defenders on him, and hit a very safeable strike, to be honest, but the keeper wasn't interested in it. All of a sudden, Esperance went from going into the break happy with a 0-0 to down 2, just like that. Keeper probably could have saved both of those. He was not good in this game. In the second half, however, Chelsea were kind of just completely in control, just securing the result, keeping things under control, and ensuring they wouldn't have any gargantuan slip-ups like in their last match against Flamengo. There was a penalty called back. There was Tyreek George getting a goal in stoppage time, a goal that the keeper, again, would want back for sure, just as he was poor all night. And an easy one for Chelsea. Calm, professional, controlled. And it looks like Maresca's decision to rest a few guys, to have them fresh for the round of 16, paid off brilliantly, cruising through with no real blood or trouble from Esperance. So with Flamengo hanging on for a draw in the other match, well, either way they were first, remember, but Chelsea get through in second, meaning Flamengo will take on Bayern and Chelsea will take on Benfica. Alright guys, like I said, I won't be able to recap the games for the rest of the groups, but we'll have videos out for you tomorrow and Friday, okay? Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.